40, and I was well over 20 in fifth.
Yeah,
so,
maybe.
But I did teach fourth for some time, and I liked it. But truthfully, I got so sick of the social studies that when I was asked to move, I was really very happy.
Yeah.
At the first, I liked California history because I didn't know a lot about it myself. But then I got so tired of it. But I never got tired of U.S. history, which is what fifth grade is.
And I feel like you can never know all of U.S. history, so there's always something more.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you remember teaching the thing that I was trying to get across?
Well,
kind of I think it was describing something in depth. It's kind of a common core standard, so I'm not sure if you had to deal with those.
yeah, well, I don't know. You know, they change the names of things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as describing a main character, of course.
Yeah. Well, this is the part where I say, what do you think? I guess. Any suggestions? I guess it's kind of hard.
I don't know exactly what, you want me to do. I do have some suggestions, but I don't know what you're looking for.
No, I think the whole point is to just see, because like obviously it's hard because like you just saw the video, but like I had like handouts actually made up, and I was actually drawing stuff out when I was doing it. So I guess it's just anything that I'll just take literally anything that you would suggest or you recommend for me. That's just part of the assignment, yeah.
I thought it was very, very good. The one thing that at the beginning, I made some notes.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you said something like, and of course, you can't, I can't, and it isn't a criticism, but you said something about after you did the Foursquare and all that. When you were asking a description, and throughout the lesson, I would suggest that you use names more than just yes, because in a classroom, you'll probably be using names.
Yeah, like calling on the students, you mean?
When you call on the students.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd say, now, does anybody have an idea? And then you'd say, oh, that's a good one. Well, you didn't call on anybody to do that.
Right.
And I know you will have your class discipline so that they're not going to all speak out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I thought about that one too. When I watched it back, I was like, well, you didn't really call on like a person's name. I was kind of like,
exactly.
That was falling back to like, I think watching my professors do it in college when they had no idea who you were anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, when you don't have anybody in the room,
yeah.
That's going to make a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing.
Okay.
And then after you you said, I have an assignment, who feels comfortable with that? Well, probably they all want to give you the finger.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And these are just things you'll learn. And when you're faced with 30 kids, it's going to be different than facing nobody.
Right.
You're just going to say, for you.
Yeah.
This is, there's no
Okay.
ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah. Okay.
But these are all little things that until you get into it, you're not going to know.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is exactly what I think what was I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, use a name when you're calling on. But the other thing is, discipline is okay. And again, when you're teaching to nobody, it's hard to do. But everything isn't always going to be, that's a good idea or that's a great idea.
Okay.
You might say, well, that's a thought. Does anybody have another idea? Or when you were, you said everybody finds whatever on the computer and all that I don't understand. There's going to be a time in there where you're going to say, or you're trying to explain to them what they're going to do about describing the character in Foggy, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Where, you might say, pardon me, class. Jack, if you would kindly stop rooting around in your desk, I think the rest of the class could hear me a little bit better.
Right.
Don't be, you're going to have to do that. You can't.
Yeah.
And I know everything's real touchy now, but if you can't do that in your classroom, you're not going to have any success.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of like ways to handle it when it's not going so well.
Well,
or smooth, I guess.
Your lesson can be going along fine.
Yeah.
But you're not going to always have everybody's attention. And you're going to have to, at risk of, which you would never say this to the parent, but what you are doing is embarrassing the kid, and you want to, because they're disrupting the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you're saying, okay, but, let's talk a little bit before we start writing about how you might describe the character. And then, here's John over here clicking his water bottle. And you're going to have to stop and say, excuse me, class. I'm sorry, but John, would you stop clicking your water bottle?
Yeah.
Is it empty?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is? Oh, it is? Then would you put it down by the side of your desk?
Right.
No, you may not fill it. We're right in the middle of a lesson.
Okay.
Yeah. Those kinds of things. You're not always going to say yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I get it.
And I don't... Oh, there was one other thing. You were talking about... I don't know if it was James and the Giant Peach or
Yeah, that was it, I think.
Or when you went into the Foggy part of it, but you called on somebody and they didn't know what journey meant.
Yeah.
And you told them. And a good thing to do is, what do you think it might mean?
Okay. Give them a chance.
And let them, if a kid comes up and asks what something means, see if they can figure it out. And if they can't, then, from context clues, then tell them.
That's good.
But that's even like with a little tiny kid, what's the blah blah? Well, what do you think it might be?
That's awesome. No, that's perfect. Because, I think those little things, when I'm actually doing it just like, you can only really remember. So, if I was going to do that exactly again, I think the like 3 or 4 main ideas that you brought up, that if I were to focus on, like, I could do the same lesson while focusing on those things, and then it would go a lot smoother, you know, because I can't remember 10,000 different things, but those things I could definitely work on and get better.
Yes, and then another thing you might do that I always found helpful,
Mm-hmm.
because there's always somebody who needs it, is I think their final assignment was, okay, now you're going to write 5 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Before you set them into action, say, okay, let's quickly review now. What do you have to have? What does a sentence need?
The structure
What
of
are the
it.
essential things that a sentence needs? And then call on people, right? It needs to start with a capital. It needs to, end with a period or a question. Those things.
Right.
Needs to have a noun and a verb. It never hurts to review those.
That's good.
Honey, I thought it was a really good lesson.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely kind of odd, but we spent like, it's kind of nice how they have like a format for us that you kind of like fill it out. You start with like a common core a concept. You have to break down all the words in the standard, and you have to like figure out what skills that they're gonna have to have. It kind of like it's pretty good. It breaks it all down, and then it gets you focused on what you actually can do to help teach it. So that was just following kind of the structure that they had, and pretty good. Well, thanks, Pen.
Okay, well, I hope it helped.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Enjoyed
No, honestly, it definitely does. That's the number one thing with me is whenever I ask for help, I'm always quite good at applying it. I think that's why I did well in college, because I would actually seek out help from the professors and like correct that stuff.